Welcome to Movie Oubliette, the film review podcast for movies that most people have mercifully forgotten.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Conrad, and in each episode, we drag a forsaken film out of the oubliette.
Discuss it and judge it to decide whether it should be set free
or whether it should be thrown back and consigned to oblivion forever. We review the films others tend to forget. Come with us and open up the movie oubliette.
Hello listeners, and welcome to episode 140 of Movie Oubliette, the globe gallivanting podcast with me, Dan, in disbelief that it's almost December down here in Melbourne, Australia.
And me, Isaac, swallowing tons of tamales in San Antonio, Texas.
In this podcast, we cover forgotten genre films, sci-fi, horror, and fantasy, because we're all about Hitler, hideous changeling girlfriends, and Ben Stiller, all having a cup of joe in the underworld. Hello, Isaac.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm not all about Hitler. That's one-sided.
Well, you know, yeah. So, listeners, as you can guess, Conrad is not here at the moment. We have our stand-in for this episode, Isaac Sutton. He's a regular on the podcast. This is your fourth time, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
And those that don't know, he's a writer, editor, video essayist, and our very own social media overlord. And yeah, fourth time. You were on for the episodes Kronos, the Andromeda Strain, and of course the fourth kind.
Yes. I also had, I think it's more than that, because I was on for Sunshine. And
that's right.
Yeah.
Fifth time. Fifth time. It's second time this year, I might add, as well.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. So I'm so happy to be on. Every time y'all ask me to do this, I'm always just so stoked. Like, Movie Oubliette is such a great show, and I am honored to be a part of it.
Oh, well, I'm honored for you to be on. And also, in the shoes of Conrad, I do have to mention, I mean, I think this is the first time we've had an American around the time of Thanksgiving as well. So
it's true, yeah.
What do you do anything special for Thanksgiving?
I mean, normally my folks, we kind of have traditional Thanksgivings. So sometimes we'll do the turkey and stuff, and it's very normal, and it's just the family get together. But, like, my family's had turkey burgers on Thanksgiving. Oh, wow. Like, it's all about the food, you know? It's not really about anything else. It's just, like, what are we going to eat?
Yeah.
you know? So we tend to do it out for sure. But
Yeah. So is it normal for, like, there to be way too much food? And you're just
leftovers
stuffed.
Are essential, right? You make so much that you require fridge space. Like, that is part of it.
Yeah, and I hear that there's quite a few dishes that I would find quite strange on Thanksgiving. I mean, apart from the turkey, there's like other dishes that are kind of quite traditional.
Yeah, like cranberry sauce, stuffing, green bean casserole.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Potatoes. I'm trying to think of like strange stuff. Oh, probably like sweet potato casserole with marshmallows and stuff. You probably
That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah. Marshmallows in a dish, not what I would normally expect.
Yeah, we don't mess around with that as much. It's not for everybody, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Well, it sounds pretty strange.
My brother is a professional chef, and he made these like weirdly savory-ish like sweet potato casserole things, but it didn't have marshmallows on it. It was like goat cheese and like candied maple bacon and sweet potato and these little dough things. Oh my god, so amazing. So shout out to Max if you're listening.
Yeah, wow, a professional chef for Thanksgiving. Yes, please.
Yeah, I'm a lucky man. Lucky brother.
Yes, yeah.
So, Dan, I heard that there is some mail to go over. What's in the mailbag?
Yes. So we had quite a few comments on The Sword and the Sorcerer because we put up some posters asking people which ones were their favorite. And on Instagram, Damsel in the Dollhouse said the first poster is my favorite, which is, I think it's the classic one.
Yeah.
With the snake and
the original, the OG.
Yeah. And she said, really loved your review of the film. Seeing it as a child, those grotesque scenes really stuck with me. Never could remember anything else from the film, just those skinless, gruesome visuals. Definitely some Hellraiser moments in there. Which is, I mean, I think every child was pretty traumatized by that movie, especially the horror scenes.
I was traumatized as an adult man. I couldn't believe when they were talking about how young they were. That's crazy, man.
Yeah. Also, Eddie Coulter from Facebook said he also agrees the first one was his favorite, and he still has the original movie novelization that he bought when it was first released. Yeah, novelizations of films. That was a thing.
It definitely. I like to post. Sometimes I posted one for Space Camp on the Movie Oubliette socials. What a bizarre thing that was so popular.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I bought the novelization of Jurassic Park, which is weird because it is a novel to start off with. And then it got made into the movie, and then it got novelized, but from the movie. So it's like... It's like
strange.
When
you download a JPEG so many times that it just becomes like artifacts everywhere.
It's just
it can't be good for it.
Yeah, exactly. Eddie Coulter also goes on to recommend some of Albert Puen's other films that he liked: Cyborg, Radioactive Dreams, Alien from LA, Dollman, Nemesis Nights, Brain Smasher, A Love Story, and Omega Doom. He also said that he got to meet him a few times at various cons, and he was a joy to talk to. Yeah, I mean, Albert Puen's titles by themselves sound amazing. Like, I want to watch all of those.
Brain Smasher?
Yeah, exactly.
That's sick. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And of course, we got a message from Serge of Cold Crash Pictures.
Hello, Serge.
And he said, The Sword and the Sorcerer seems pretty on par for most sword and sorcery movies, which is probably why I don't spark to it. I guess it's fine for what it is. But he does go on to say the trivia is wild, though. The cinematographer revolted against the director. The editor locked out of post-production. It grossed just as much as Conan the Barbarian on 1K fewer screens. There's an on-screen death. WTF, one of the wilder episodes of Movie Oubliette. Yeah, it is one of those films where the production history is really interesting.
Yeah, it definitely, hearing y'all talk about it was illuminating.
Yes.
Seems like something I would not want to have to be a part of. Wow, that was a mangled sentence.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. It was an interesting film. Yeah, and it's amazing that even the result of all of that was still kind of, watchable and has been sort of revered with that sort of nostalgia for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's always interesting when you hear about production hell like that and then it ends up something mildly intelligible. I remember hearing them talk about the Pirates of the Caribbean shooting and or Die Hard and how they were literally writing Die Hard as they were filming it and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and it's just man, how is that? I feel like that shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah.
It shouldn't work, but sometimes it does.
Yeah, sometimes it does.
Movie magic.
Yeah. Yes. Well, thank you, listeners, for getting in touch. We enjoy more messages and responses from you.
So, Dan, what are we pulling out of the oubliette today?
I'll just go grab it. There's a flaming cop car just sitting here.
Oh my gosh.
It's got no door handles, though.
Peculiar.
Maybe if I do this weird hand gesture. Oh, yeah, here we go.
Nailed it.
I just grabbed the film. Okay, it's driving away.
Is that a jet engine?
I don't know.
Hey, Charlie. Psych.
All right, I'm back.
So what'd you end up pulling out of that car, huh?
So today we are going to be doing a Patron's Choice film. This was chosen by our patron Chisilla. It's going to be Highway to Hell from 1991.
I've never seen this movie.
Yeah, no, I've never heard of it. It's directed by, I think it's Dutch director Atta de Jong. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I could be wrong. Written by Brian Helgeland of LA Confidential, Mystic River, Man on Fire fame. And it stars Chad Lowe, Christy Swanson, Patrick Bergen, Adam Stork, Pamela Gidley, and CJ Graham.
Did you say Chad Lowe at the top? Is that Robert Lowe's brother?
Yeah, Rob
Correct.
Lowe's younger brother. I didn't even know he had a younger brother.
I did not either.
So the synopsis for this film. After an incredibly long, boring opening title, we follow the young couple, Charlie and Rachel, runaways to Vegas to get married. But after Charlie falls asleep at the wheel while driving, they are pulled over between two Joshua trees by the merciless cop from hell, Sargeant Bedlam, who abducts Rachel and takes her to literal hell. With the help of the local gas station attendant, who happens to know everything about the situation, Charlie is equipped with a shotgun and the underworld's vehicle of choice, the Volkswagen Beetle. But as Charlie enters hell, it's not what he expected. Zombie cops, streets paved with good-intentioned human body parts, surprisingly helpful satanic mechanics, and of course, Ben Stiller's entire family. Will Charlie save his immortal beloved, Rachel, or will Hellcop blow him away to damnation with his hell cannon? We're going to find out after the break.
I literally cannot wait.
Yes. We are back to talk about Highway to Hell, chosen by our patron Chisilla. Isaac, you hadn't seen this movie?
I had not.
Yeah.
I had not, and I think most of the universe has not seen this movie.
Yeah, I'd never heard of it, never seen it. I have to say, worst title for a film, because every time I Google Highway to Hell, all I get is the AC/DC album.
And it's the song's not even in the movie.
I know, the song's not even in the movie.
How is that possible?
I think they wanted the song in the movie, but it was just too expensive. But they should have changed the title. Like you're not going to get any results because you're just buried by like articles about the AC/DC album.
Yeah. Well, and apparently, so I did some research for this movie because I was trying to fill the master's shoes, man.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I learned that basically, there's a second movie that was released a year before this movie, also called Highway to Hell.
No way.
Yes.
Right.
So even if you searched for Highway to Hell movie, you might get two separate results. But the reason that all went down was because basically, this movie was a hellish production from the start.
Yes.
The script was sent over to the producer, and while he was kind of working on developing it, the lead producer of Highway to Hell, the company that he was working for got completely shut down.
Wow.
Right? United Artists. And as part of his severance deal, he got to keep the movie rights and take it to wherever he worked next. So he went and he started developing it with this other production company, Helmsdale, which are the people who made Terminator and Platoon and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
But they were in the midst of like 1,006,000 legal battles at the time
wow.
against all kinds of people. And so as they were making the movie, the company went bankrupt completely. And so although they started production in like 1988, 1989, and they finished it for a summer of 1990 release, they had to hold on to the movie for an extra 2 years and not release it until 92 because the company was just going through so many like bankruptcy proceedings that they couldn't like get it done. And then so when the film went for release, it was only distributed in 8 movie theaters in the US when it first went out. And so we probably wouldn't have never heard about this movie, like, period. But it just so happened, like I said earlier, Helmsdale made Terminator, right? And so when they did one of the reissues for Terminator, they went and did like one of those double combo deals, right? Where it's this is Terminator and Highway to Hell, right? You get it under the same package. And so that was like the first time Highway to Hell saw like an actual somewhat major release, and I'm sure it played on TV and stuff as well, but like that was how Highway to Hell was like actually distributed. So the niche for this particular film and the amount of oubliettes that is this movie, it is deep in the oubliette, man. Like, this is in the recesses. Wow. Yeah, what a way to sort of have a resurgence, just being tagged onto Terminator. It does have kind of similarities to Terminator, and with Hell Cop being pretty much a Terminator, just indestructible and just ruthless. But and also, it doesn't feel like a 90s movie, obviously, because it wasn't filmed in the 90s. Yeah, it feels very much like an 80s movie, 100%. It does. When we do the Mooblies, it was very difficult for me to pick something from the 90s. The only 90s thing I had to pull was Gilbert Gottfried. It's in the movie as Hitler.
Gilbert Gottfried as Hitler. I mean, I can't think of the most sort of inappropriate and like perfect choice for Hitler. I mean, he is hilarious.
And he's not just Hitler, he's Hitler trying to convince Cleopatra and Attila the Hun that he's not Hitler.
Yeah.
Which is
exactly. It is outrageous. I mean, to watch. So I want to just backtrack a little bit. So this is directed by Atte de Jong, or At de Jong. This is a Dutch director. I haven't seen many of his films. The only one that stands out is Drop Dead Fred, which very similar in terms of like sort of dark comedy. This movie has very sort of witty, but like it's kind of pulling the finger at you at the same time kind of humor.
It says everything with like a wink and a smile. It's very like campy, silly, like everything is hellish, right, and horror inspired, but I wouldn't say it's like scary. It's kind of like, isn't this ridiculous, right? Like I kind of see it similar to like a lot of other sort of dark movies from around about the same time, late 80s, early 90s. So a lot of early Tim Burton films like Beetlejuice, even Nightmare Before Christmas, and like Addams Family, and even like kids movies like Witches and Hocus Pocus. Like, it's got a very sort of evil sort of smirk to it. Like, it's like, this is hell, but it's like all the bad stuff for all the good things, you know? Like, I think Rachel calls someone a bastard and he says, oh, down here, that's a compliment kind of thing. It's that sort of humor. Like, all the bad things are all the good things. But yeah, it is very kind of witty, and there's like tons of detail in this movie. So much of it is like in the production design too, right? Like, I would say like the script of this movie isn't that funny. Like, it's got its moments. It's got its moments. Some of the jokes hit for me, but the like signs, like if you're paying attention to what the signs say in the movie, that is like the funniest parts for me. Like one of them, so in this movie, the devil owns a car repair shop and it's AAA. Anarchy, Armageddon, Annihilation.
Yes, that's
on the side of his truck. And instead of the to serve and protect on the side of the cop car, it says to endanger and enslave, which is very good. Like,
yeah. You can pretty much like pause any scene and just read one of the signs in the background, and it's something ridiculously hell related. So in the casino, one of the signs in the background, it just says, "In Satan we trust, all others pay cash." It's just great.
I think that's kind of the highlight of this movie in general, right? Is really kind of the world building it does with that. Because it's so detailed and so kind of like odd and winking, it almost feels like a Simpsons episode or something like that come into live action.
It does,
like,
yeah.
It's hyper cartoonish and in just a very unique tone that is, I mean, unlike anything I've really ever seen before. You know, it's kind of maybe like Roger Rabbit, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's very peculiar. And I don't know that everyone is supposed, like, it's hard to figure out whether or not it was their intention to make everybody a cartoon or if it's just people's lack of acting ability.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
There are so many sort of characters that just have like one line. I mean, we can talk about the Stillers in a moment, but like there's just like so many like standout characters that just show up, say their bit, and then they're gone. Like the good intentions people, like it's ridiculous.
Yes.
And yeah, so like all the details with like, they're rubbish collectors on the road, except they're dumping rubbish on the road. Yeah. It's like the opposite of what you expect.
They're all dressed like Andy Warhol, and they're
I don't know why. What does that mean?
Soup cans. I don't know. It's so weird. There's so many weird like non sequiturs like that. Like the ice cream guy. So there's like a zombie ice cream man that attacks him at one point, and he screams, "I'm gonna scoop your brains," and that's all he's there for. There's so many moments in this movie that are very kind of just like, so what was going on there?
Yeah. There's also a cameo from Lita Ford. This is before my time. So she is the woman before the ice cream guy shows up. She's trying to like get help from Charlie or something. She's a massive like rock and roll sort of 80s metal singer. I didn't know that
either.
Before my time. So there is kind of an audience, like there is a target audience. You've pretty much people that anti-society, pretty much anti-conformity. Like this is your type of movie. Like it's the middle crowd. It's like the bikey crowd. Like hell in this movie is pretty much the desert, bikies, punks.
Like it's Utah
gamblers.
With like more men.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun though. It's not like, I feel like people might hear like that and think that there's more of an edge to it than there is. Like it's all played as like almost kind of cutesy, you know?
Yeah, it is. And there doesn't really seem to be any sort of like peril. Yeah. Like Charlie does get shot and die, I guess, but he gets brought back, and like the Hellcop gets shot a few times and
it does nothing,
die, but he gets brought back. Like it's like no one seems to be able to die or be hurt in this movie.
And I think that's like the biggest thing that it lacks. Like I made some jokes about the acting and everything feeling like a cartoon and all of this stuff, right? But truly, the part of this movie that's kind of difficult to stomach is that things just kind of happen over and over and over again, and they don't really like feel like they progress anything.
How I would describe this movie, it is kind of your classic, it's more like a fantasy adventure movie. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, it does have horror elements, but it feels like movies like, I don't know, the Labyrinth or Narnia or Wizard of Oz, you know, or Stardust. You're getting propelled into this new alternate reality and having to save the girl or defeat the villain or whatever. But and it's just you meet all these colorful and interesting characters along the way that may help you or may sort of try to stop you. Yeah.
But in those movies, like, the characters learn something, or they have like this really compelling, like, sort of family narrative.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
In this one, like, Charlie just kind of like he bursts into hell, sees some people, goes and then he runs to the next one, and then he sees them and he goes, oh my gosh, and then he runs to the next one, and there's like not a thousand, but there is a lot of like random MacGuffins, right? Like, all of a sudden this bracelet that he gives his fiance at
Rachel,
the beginning of Rachel, like, it's super important, and he's like constantly grabbing this little bracelet, but then it doesn't really do anything or mean anything or matter in any capacity. She just kind of puts it on in the end when he gives it to her. Like, there's a lot of stuff like that. He meets the devil several times, and the devil is just kind of cool with him. They just kind of sit and chat and then move on.
I was surprised by sort of the villains in this movie. So there is the devil, Beazle, who's introduced as the Satanic Mechanic. So you don't know he's the devil, but it's pretty obvious. His name's Beazle. I mean, come on. That's a twist we saw coming miles away. And you've got him, and he's not that evil, like you said. He kind of, at the end, he lets him have the race because he thinks, he's going to lose the race and he's not going to escape hell. But he's not that evil. He never like kills anyone or anything. Like, he's actually pretty nice guy.
He's not that tricky either. Like, it's not like he's constantly forcing all of these temptations on him, or like all the he literally. So Charlie, let's run it back for a second.
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. So Charlie shows up in hell, right, after his girlfriend is kidnapped by the Hell Cop, which everybody only refers to as Hell Cop, right? He chases down Hell Cop, gets run off the road, meets up with Beazle, whatever he calls him, and Beazle just fixes his car and says, hey, your girlfriend is in the Hell Capital, and he goes, thanks, guy. Moves on. Spends a little bit of time getting to the Hell Capital, where the devil, aka Bezel, also is with his girlfriend. It's kind of just like, do you want to leave? Because I could make you like a great violinist. Is what the devil says to Charlie's girlfriend. And Charlie's girlfriend's like, yeah, I love my boyfriend. And then they go and leave, right? They encounter a little bit of peril, but it's the peril of their own making, because the devil tells them, don't look back, because if you look back, you're going to be screwed, because this is a Greek myth.
You're Orpheus and Eurydice.
Eurydice, And then, of course, they look back, and instead of anything super bad happening, just a bunch of people in wallpaper clothes push their car around a little bit. They escape, and then they meet back up with the devil a second time, right? To say, I'm going to save basically the Antichrist? I was confused by that.
Yeah, you're right. The devil constantly gives him second chances. He gets shot, devil brings him back. You know, he goes to rescue Rachel, he lets them go. You know, they want to leave hell, he lets them have a chance to race to leave hell. Like, he's not that bad.
And there's no, like, stakes to it. There's no, like, if you do this, maybe I'll steal your life. Like, you know, there's not, like, a lot of things that are threatening, or, like, this should have, like, genie rules, right? Where it's like, oh, I wish I was taller, and they make you as tall as a skyscraper. You know, like, where's the mischievousness of this guy?
Like in, like, Bedazzled, you know that Brendan Fraser movie. There's like a twist to every sort of wish.
Like, you can make him like a temptress or whatever who like is trying to get you to do bad things by accident, or you can make him like outright just a bad guy who wants to kill you. But you can't make him just like a passive observer and make your movie feel like it's important.
Yeah. What was his intent anyway? Like, does he just abduct women using Hellcop to hell? To what? What does he do with them?
It was so odd. At the very end of the movie, he says that he wants to have a child with Rachel, but it feels like completely counter to everything else that we've seen from this otherwise perfectly normal dude. More normal than any other character that we meet in this movie. Like every other like denizen of hell besides the devil and his kid, who I think we should talk about in a second, is like some kind of bizarre comic book thing, right? It's either Andy Warhol's or it's Jimmy Hoffa like owning this crazy stripper casino thing, or like an actual demon that has transformed itself to look like Rachel. Like they all have like some kind of insanity to them, and then the devil's just kind of like this normal guy, and then at the end he shows up in like devil makeup. but he still kind of just acts vaguely. I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah. He's not that evil. And you've also got, I mean, Hellcop as well as a villain, as his kind of like, you know, go-to henchman. He's pretty amazing. I mean, he is just the Terminator / like maniac cop. Like he's just
stone cold killer.
Unstoppable. You know, he doesn't have any lines because he probably couldn't speak because all of his face makeup would fall off him. But like he, I like that. Like he's kind of like that silent, impossible like bad guy.
Yes, I agree.
So the makeup for Hellcop. So if you haven't seen what Hellcop looks like, he's covered in these kind of scarring letters that have been carved into his face, and he's got like black police uniform with like pentagrams all over it, like just like instead of like the cop badges, you've got just like pentagrams. So the makeup was done by Steve Johnson. He's very famous. I haven't heard his name, but he's worked on movies like Leviathan, Nightmare on Elm Street 4, Howling 4 and 6, Blade 2, Species, American Werewolf in London, Night of the Demons, Dead Heat, which we've covered, Return of the Living Dead 3. So really, really sort of renowned makeup artist. So I saw an interview with CJ Graham, who plays Hellcop, and he said it took 5 hours to put the makeup on. It's starting at 3 a.m. in the morning, and he said he would be falling asleep in the chair because it would take so long, and he would miss lunch call because the makeup, he couldn't chew or eat, or I guess even talk really, because all the bits would just fall off him because it was all glued on. So he had to just drink milkshakes through a straw for lunch. It's just like grueling, but like
sugary.
Yeah, but it looked great. Like I mean, his whole look was like, wow. Yeah, apparently based on Clive Barker's Books of Blood character. So it has that, it does have that sort of horror Hellraiser type look to it.
It's definitely the most iconic part of the film, right?
Yeah. And also like just his sort of accessories, like the gun is not just a normal gun. It looks like some weird ass
like
sci-fi ray gun, and his car's like futuristic. It's kind of not what you expected. I expected them to go like, you know, Mad Max on the car, just like panels just glued
rusty
onto it and rusty and like that sort of almost like steampunk look to it, but it's not.
Right.
They went sci-fi, which was unexpected.
And they do that with the capital of hell too, where it kind of just looks like Gotham. Like it's very kind of Art Deco-y, lots of like shapes and stuff to it.
Yeah. There's a lot of details in terms of like, I guess, biblical or mythological stuff that they add into the movie. There's the river Styx with the blind
Chiron or whatever.
Yeah, it's sort of a boat boat guy.
Yeah, he takes you across the river Styx.
Yeah, and even when they reach
Cerberus
the sort of
too.
Cerberus, that's right, and when they reach the devil's building lair, there's an apple in a sort of a glass encasement, which I guess is like the
sin.
Yeah, the apple that Eve bit into in the Garden of Eden. So there's like a lot of sort of little references to biblical stuff or mythological stuff, which I really liked.
I liked that too. I have a couple others that I was like, this is so creative and out of left field. Like coffee shop that all of the cops go to is named Pluto, which is the Roman name for Hades, like the devil.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then like at the coffee bar, Ben Stiller's mom and dad have this tour where she just like keeps talking and like won't give him the coffee that he's trying to get from her. It's like his personal torture. And that's like the myth of Tantalus, who like can eat and drink but can't taste anything or whatever from Greek mythology. Right. So there's a lot of like clever stuff they have in that. There's the signs on the roadway to hell that all of the VW Beetles are going down. They're like all of these references to like Dante's Inferno and Paradise Lost. Like it's all of their places.
Yeah, that's right.
So there's a lot of like really clever. They do a lot with like the location, right?
Yeah, I really like the location, like the sort of desert hellscape, I guess, but it's not, fire and brimstone. It's just like, Arizona or whatever. Yeah. It does have that sort of driving movie, like cross-country type movie feel to it. It's similar to, like, even the premise at the start. Like, you've got the two lovers, driving across country. They've escaped their parents and they're going to get married. It is kind of similar to a lot of films like True Romance and Wild at Heart, like Badlands, even like Natural Born Killers or Life Less Ordinary. You've just got this couple just driving across a desert, and I mean, it just happens to be hell, and they come across a casino and a diner, and it's. I really do like that setting. Like, maybe it's a bit late, like overdone now, but like I enjoy it.
Yeah, I think it's really creative, right? I think this movie just needed more time in the oven or something, right?
Sure.
Like, there are so many things about this movie that are fun and creative and feel very detailed oriented like that, right? Yes. But then there are also so many parts of this movie that feel like they come completely out of left field, are brought up once, and then just stop.
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
Like, okay. Sorry. I have this whole list of them.
Okay.
So the devil's kid, right? There's
Adam.
This whole subplot between Adam and Royce, right? There's this leader of the biker gang named Royce, who is like, I guess, an antichrist who like the devil is disappointed in, and so he'll never send him up into Earth.
Right.
And then there's this kid named Adam, who I guess is also kind of the Antichrist, but the devil wants to keep him in hell for a little bit, and so he can send him up to Earth, and then he can be like Napoleon? Question mark. Who he mentions as one of his inspirations. This is Napoleon, Hitler, and Attila the Hun.
Yeah, sure.
That dynamic and that subplot is just bizarre and comes up and out like constantly, and it doesn't have any weight to like the main characters, but they involve themselves in it like a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, like, he drives a pizza car, like, at the very beginning of the movie.
Oh, the pizza car's great, though.
It's great. Some of the things are, like, things that make the movie what it is. Like, it makes it campy and interesting. And kind of, like, peculiar. Like, why does the weird harbinger at the first gas station they go to hand him a teddy bear clock? Right?
Yeah,
like, he hands them this teddy bear with a clock inside its chest, but it doesn't come up again. It just happens right there. And like the same guy, he gives him the shotgun that his wife made out of hubcaps?
Yeah.
Like, they're just things that they say that just happen to them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, when Charlie gets captured by the biker gang, right?
Yeah.
They all have, like, these very odd instruments to, like, hurt him with and torture him with. Like,
that's right.
Them,
yeah,
it's a little like handsaw, but it's only like a quarter of a handsaw, and he like points it towards his genitalia. And then like another one ends up having like a clown flower that shoots acid, and then another one has like dentistry tools. Stuff like that. Like, it's part of the charm of this movie, but it's also just part of the reason it doesn't work because it doesn't have any like coherence to it. Stuff just happens. Then you just have to like, hey baby, you roll with it. If you don't roll with it, then you're not gonna like it.
I think that's what it kind of sticks with you, all those little details. Like you said, the Royce's rabble of men. So in the credits, they have specific sort of personas, names. I guess. They've got the clown, the doctor, the woodsman, the exterminator, and the dentist. There's no rhyme or reason why they are like that at all. And even the pizza car at the start. So it's got like this illuminated slice of pizza on the roof of the car that says Nunzio's Pizza. And from afar, it looks like you're watching a video game where, you've got your car.
Like he's the player character.
Yeah, it's got the player like arrow above the car. It's so weird to look at. And it's just like little things like that where they've just thought, I guess, why not? Let's just put it in there. Like, it's interesting. It's fine. No explanation needed.
And there are full scenes like that. And it's not just like the just like weird character personalities and stuff. Like, at the beginning of the movie, they're sitting in this diner and they're eating hamburgers. And then Charlie gets really freaked out because he sees a cop and he's like, oh, your mom's going to make us go back home and we won't be able to get married, so we got to leave right now. He just leaves all this money on the counter, and then he goes back for his hamburger, puts the burger in his mouth, and then feeds his dog the hamburger with his mouth? Why? What? Gross. And then there are other scenes of the movie where he's licking his dog on the mouth. Like, what's going on with that? That's really weird. At one point in the movie, so Charlie is leaving Beasel's garage, and Adam decides he wants to hitch a ride and like leave with Charlie, and so they have this like long sequence where Adam is like hanging off the side of this VW Beetle, and Adam's like 8 years old, you guys.
I know. He's dead.
Like, he's a really little kid, and they have him just kind of dangling off the side of a car for some reason. Like, I don't know. It doesn't work for me.
I mean, I do have a question as well regarding the Volkswagens. Like, what? Why is the Volkswagen Beetle a satanic car? Why is it?
It's because they were initially developed for the Nazis.
Really? Oh,
yes.
I get it.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Which is also like, again, this is the kind of humor that the movie has sometimes, where it's like, oh, that's like a joke that's kind of like weirdly layered that you kind of have to be in on. Like, I might just not get this movie. Like, I might not be in on this.
I mean, like, even like looking at all the characters in Hell, you've got Nazis and stuff, and cops, and Attila the Hun, played by Ben Stiller, and Cleopatra and Hitler, and then just like random other people. There's like nuns and priests, and then all the cowboys and stuff like that. So I don't know. I guess there must be a reason for everyone. And aren't there like sort of Confederate soldiers? Yes.
When he makes it into Hell City, everybody is just like a war reenactor.
Yeah.
Like, there's like people with Confederate clothes, and there are people with like revolutionary clothes. I don't, it's just. And then there are also people who, like I said earlier, just look like wallpaper. Like, they are wearing skin-tight onesies that look like bad 80s wallpaper.
at one point, Charlie does blast away at these characters with his shotgun, and everyone just kind of falls to bits and like as if they're made out of plaster or stone or something. What's that all about?
Beats me, man. In hell, it's like, I guess part of it in my head, I was like, oh, that's because everything is so hot and dry there that they're all just powder on the inside.
Yeah.
Like, I've tried to rationalize it like that, but it really doesn't make any sense. They all just are like, they shatter into mannequin forms or something.
Yeah. Like, I mean, is there some sort of ancient Greek myth where that happens or something and that we just don't know about?
Yeah, like that probably is, it probably is something like that though, right? Like this is like a VW Beetle thing all over again.
Yeah.
Like there's some layer to it that I'm missing.
Yeah, okay. Also, the gun that Hellcop uses. So he shoots one person at one point and they just like kind of spiral into this kind of whirlwind of like nothing. And where did they go? They're already in hell. Do they go to purgatory? Where else do they go?
I don't know. It made sense. I can't remember if he shoots somebody above ground. The first time he shot somebody, I was like, oh, they disappear on purpose.
Yeah, I think he shoots Jerry Stiller. So he shoots Jerry Stiller's character in the diner. But also Charlie ends up shooting Hellcop with it.
Right.
And Hellcop goes away.
So when he shoots Jerry, right, and he teleports off in like a TNG style teleporter effect, right?
Yeah.
I just assumed, oh, he's gone out of existence.
Right.
But then Hellcop gets shot with his own gun later in the film, and he's fine. He like regenerates.
Yeah. You know, you just can't kill Hellcop. Apart from
unless you shoot him in the sunglasses.
Yeah, I know. His Achilles heel are his sunnies. Like, I just don't.
Which is insane.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. A lot of sense.
Well, and it's the way that it is explained to you is insane as well, because the little 8-year-old kid in the back seat is like, "You have to shoot him in the sunglasses, Charlie." And Charlie's like, "Why didn't you tell me that earlier?" And he says, "I wasn't on your side. Like, I'm on the good team now." And I was like, "Wait, what? That's nothing."
Oh my god! Yeah.
That happens while the other Antichrist, the disappointed Antichrist, is shoving King Arthur's sword into the side of this VW Beetle to kill an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
Right? Like, unhinged. An unhinged sequence.
Yeah.
Now it's time for Random Trivia.
So, Dan, what trivia did you find at the bottom of a boiling coffee cup for us today?
Yeah. All chained up with some donuts. So the look of Hellcop is very distinctive with the carvings on his face. But if you look very closely on his chin, there are the letters SJ and LQ, which stand for Steve Johnson, the makeup artist, and Linnea Quigley, his now, I believe, ex-wife. But so on his chin, I did pause it just to make sure, and you do see just kind of on a diagonal SJ and LQ on his chin.
So sweet. That's a much different than carving your name into like a tree.
Yeah, just into Hellcop.
And that's our trivia.
Yeah. I guess we have to talk at length at the Stillers. So it's Ben Stiller's entire family seems to be in this movie. So Ben Stiller, his sister Amy Stiller, his mum Ann Mira, and his dad Jerry Stiller. Just why? What was there like some sort of combo deal that was going on?
That's
why
exactly
are they in this?
what happened.
Really?
That's exactly what happened. I mean, from what I read, they went and approached the parents and were like, "Hey, will you do a cameo in this movie?" And they said, "Yes, if our kids get to be in it."
Right. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is before Ben Stiller was famous. So this is 1989, I guess, when it was filmed. And, you know, his big break, I guess, was Reality Bites, 1994. I mean, There's Something About Mary didn't come out till 1998, and Meet the Parents in 2000. It's kind of weird because I always think of Ben Stiller as always being famous. Like, it's weird to see him in a role where he's such a tiny role as well. Yeah. He's only in it for like 10 seconds as this like weird fry cook of this diner that just cooks food on the pavement because it's
outside
hell, I guess.
The diner.
Yeah.
He cooks food outside of the diner and talks about putting his head cheese in it. What does that mean?
I don't know. I don't know.
Weird.
Yeah, he's like breaking eggs on his head and like frying this massive steak on just on the pavement.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just nothing. Well, he also plays Attila the Hun.
Yes, he does.
He plays two different roles in this movie, and I guess they just expect that you won't notice that he's Attila the Hun, but you definitely do.
Oh, you definitely. Well, because like we know who Ben Stiller is.
Who he is.
Like back then, no one would have known.
Yeah.
So like, I guess it's that.
I guess they get away with it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's bizarre seeing him in such a tiny role, though. It's so strange.
It really is strange, and especially such a strange role. Like, it's not just that he's kind of like has a bit role. He has like a lot of speaking lines in this movie.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Right? Like, but they're mostly just screamed. Like, he calls Rachel a bitch.
Yeah.
Like, he says, "What? You're a vegetarian, bitch?"
Yeah.
Like, which is a weird thing.
I know. It's very out of character for Ben Stiller, you know. We're used to him being either like a bumbling idiot or like the nice guy that just makes a lot of mistakes.
Yes. Not this like enraged, strange person. Like, it's very, very weird.
Yeah. So I had no idea that his parents were so famous. Like, I mean, Jerry Stiller, obviously big in Seinfeld, but his parents were, they had like a duo called Stiller and Meara. And they used to have like regular appearances on the Ed Sullivan Show. I had no idea. Were they quite big, like, for you growing up? Was it always on reruns on TV?
I had no concept of that until this film. I was like,
oh, right.
Okay, well. And then when I started doing research, it was like, what? I gotta find out why this entire family was recruited for this. And so I stumbled upon that little niche fact of they approached the parents. And it was just like they wanted to initially include all kinds of celebrity cameos. So it wasn't just going to be like Gilbert Gottfried and the Stillers. It was going to be like one of those classic comedies where it's like, oh, there's a famous person and there's a famous person.
Like Blues Brothers kind of thing. Like you just got, constant cameos.
Constant cameos. But then when it was like time to go into production, they had to slash the budget by like 50% or 60% or something. Right. And they're like, well, we can't afford a lot of cameos. Who can we get? And so they nailed down Gilbert Gottfried like immediately. And they're like, this is the guy. And then after that, they approached the Stillers and they're like, well, if our kids can be in it. And they were like, done. And that was it.
I mean, they got Lita Ford.
They got Leah Ford. They got Leah Ford as well. And she's a great in the movie. I would say she delivers a fun performance. Like,
oh, yeah, for sure.
It's only one line, but it's very fun.
I mean, like just her appearance alone is pretty standout.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure many young boys were, very enamored by that.
Well, how do you get to hell? Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Like, what an icon, man! Holy crap!
Yeah. Of course.
But,
Coming to you live from the Movie Oubliette Theatre, it's the prestigious Mobley Awards.
Hey, it's that special time of the pod, the Mobley Awards, where we nominate our favourite V-dub Beatle revving parts of the film in a number of evil, good intention categories.
Best quote.
After Rachel gets kidnapped and Charlie has to go back to the Harbinger and is like, do the whole like, what just happened? Was that the devil thing? Yeah. He is like screaming his bloody head off.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they took Rachel! Like, and He's losing his mind. It is overacting to like beyond Broadway. It is crazy.
Yeah.
He's like, can't you phone them? Don't you know their phone number? The Harbingers goes, you can't phone hell, boy. You can drive there, but you can't phone hell. They just have the energy in the Harbinger scenes very good.
Yeah, right. Okay. My favorite quote is from Ben Stiller. So it's when Rachel kind of bumps into him and she's trying to ask him how to get out of hell. And he responds with, I don't know, but I do know this steak has your name on it. But then Rachel kind of continues on, she's just like, oh, you're not helpful. But then he says, what is it? Because you're a vegetarian? Because I'm telling you, it tastes very similar to chicken. Like, what is this?
Just random nonsense.
Best hair or costume?
So my hair and costume for this one is the Donut Shop cops. They're a blast to look at. Like, there's no denying it. They're all dead cops, but they all have one or two little, like, strange things about them. One of them has a handcuff through his eyeballs. Another one has, like, see no evil, hear no evil. Like, all of his sensory organs are, like, webbed off. And then another one is, like, he looks like he drowned. Like, he's caught up in a bunch of, like, fishing wire. It's really creative. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Like, they looked either straight from the set of Hellraiser or like a Romero, like, zombie film. Like, most of them are covered in cobwebs as well. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Some of them are really low budget. One of the guys is just crossing his eyes.
I know. It's like,
but then
we
it's
didn't
like
have enough makeup. Just cross your eyes. It's evil.
Yeah. But the good ones are really good, you guys. Trust me.
Yeah, they are. They really are. Here in costume, I mean, the obvious choice would be Hell Cop. Like, he's very iconic. But I did kind of laugh at his sunglasses because they're kind of like the Morpheus, like, stuck-on sunglasses. Like, they've got no, like, arm
wrap
bits.
around.
Like, they don't go on his ears. They're just kind of attached to his face, and that sort of reflective, weird glass material that they had. It was big in the early I guess through in the 90s with all the extreme sports guys and, like, snowboarders and stuff.
Yeah, it's the kind of glasses that fishermen wear now.
Right. Yeah.
Most 90s moment.
So my most 90s moment is Gilbert Gottfried as Hitler.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't get more iconic than Gilbert Gottfried in the 90s. Got him as Iago, all of the classics.
Problem Child.
Because this was made in the 80s, I did do an 80s moment.
Yeah.
Everybody's obsessed with virginity in this movie. Like, are you a virgin? It's embarrassing to be a virgin, but you want to be a virgin. I feel like that was such a big thing in, like, The Breakfast Club, or, like, so many 80s movies were just, like...
I feel like it was 90s as well. You got American Pie, all of those, like, teen comedies from the 90s. That was, like, the premise of everything. Just, like, lose my virginity. That is it. That's the most important thing.
Right.
Favorite scene?
So my favorite scene in this movie is the opening, because I had no idea what to expect with this. I went in completely blind, no trailers, no nothing.
Yeah.
And it opens on this postcard that says Highway to Hell, but rather than playing the song Highway to Hell, it starts with this guy's vocalization, which is like, like, he starts singing really scatting.
Yeah.
And then these synths come in, and, like, I just started dying laughing because it was so strange and off-putting. I could have never predicted it. So
yeah, I quite like the last fight scene. So the gang have escaped hell and they think they're safe, but oh no, Hell Cop comes back. And there's a struggle between him and Charlie, and then I think Charlie, like, cracks one of his glass lenses of his sunglasses.
Yeah.
And then Rachel finally like blows his sunglasses off with the shotgun, and it reveals like just blinding blue beams of light just radiating from his eye sockets, like really bright beams of light. It looks incredible. And then he just spontaneously explodes because that's his weakness. Is he must have sunglasses to be alive.
Destruction.
I don't know. I don't really understand that. But it looked really cool, that whole scene.
Most cliche moment.
My biggest cliche is the ominous harbinger of doom.
Yeah.
Like, gotta have him.
I mean, it's funny, though, because normally the harbinger's just, like, a little bit creepy.
Yes.
And not helpful, but then he turns out to be really helpful. Like,
really helpful.
and quite nice, actually. So.
Yeah. It's helpful to an extent that it's like, wow, you just gave me a car.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
Yeah.
I know. And just everything he needed.
It's true.
Yeah, a cliche for me. So Royce's gang of bikey punks. I don't know. We've covered so many movies where the gang is just like punks on bikes, like the Wraith we did, and Razorback. Is every desert just full of bikey punks?
Yeah, Mad Max changed it all, baby.
Yeah, I know.
Best special effect.
My favorite special effect is the handcuffs.
I love them. Yes.
They're fantastic, aren't they? They're such a standout. They're handcuffs that are literally hands that clip onto Rachel's wrists as cuffs.
Yeah.
And they're all mechanical. They're not prosthetics. Apparently they cost the production $75,000 to make those in the late 80s.
Wow.
But I mean, they look like real hands and they're very cool to see.
But I do have to point out, they are kind of useless because they are hands that have feeling, you know, and so Rachel gets away by pouring hot coffee on them at one point, like
just use metal handcuffs.
Favorite sound effect.
My favorite sound effect is at one point Charlie and Adam are kind of driving along the road and they enter this rain that's like oil rain, and it just makes this really fun like gloop 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 kind of sound,
doesn't it? Yeah.
I was like, that's really cool. That's a nice little attention to detail.
My favorite sound was the hell car, like the futuristic electric car sound to it. I just wasn't expecting it at all.
Yeah, it's got like a Top Gun-y, you know, spaceship noise. It's very specific and cool.
Yeah. I liked it. Really liked it.
Most funniest moment.
My funniest scene, I don't know why this got me so good either, but it really did, is one of the Beatles in the big highway sequence has a bumper sticker that says Pontius is my co-pilot on it, which is very funny to me. Okay. Instead of Jesus is my co-pilot, Pontius Pilate's my co-pilot.
Oh my god. That's great. That's so good.
It's like, that's so clever. I love all the signage in this movie. That one was a standout, though.
Yeah. I mean, funniest for me, like, you can't go past Gilbert Gottfried as Hitler. It's just...
It's immaculately done.
It's great. It's so perfect. It is. It really is. When you think of Hitler, you don't think, oh, Gilbert Gottfried.
It's true. It's so true. And he has so many great little lines, like, because he's trying to convince Cleopatra and Attila the Hun that he's not Hitler. At one point, he's like, the devil, he said hello and called me Bob, or something like, and it's said in such a matter-of-fact way in the background of another scene.
I know, yeah.
It's really good stuff.
It's this classic Gilbert Gottfried, like, delivery as well. Just everything shouted.
Yeah. What are you talking about? I can't even.
So good.
Oh, God.
Okay, that's our movie awards.
Hi, this is Vincenzo Natali. I'm the director of Cube and Splice, and you're listening to Movie Oubliette.
Okay, it's time for our final verdicts. Should Highway to Hell from 1991 be released from the oubliette to abduct girls forever for the Dark Lord and be worshipped by all? Or should it be shot with a shotgun, exploding into 1,000 pieces of plaster and be shoveled back into the oubliette, never talked about again? So this was brought to us by Chazilla, our patron. This is a patron's choice movie. Isaac, what's your final verdict for this film?
I thought that Highway to Hell was a really enjoyable movie. I vacillated whether or not to release it.
Yeah.
Just because I think that some of the elements don't really hold water, make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Kind of weird and bumbling. But ultimately, it's campy, it's funny, and I had a good time with it. So I say, why not? Just release it into the world, and you can make your own judgments.
Yeah. Yeah, good time is a good sort of summation on the film. Yeah, I did have a good time. I have to commend just the amount of detail that went into this movie. Yes, it's a pretty simplistic story. Like, you've got the damsel gets captured, the guy has to go to this weird world to rescue her. I mean, it's pretty basic. But yeah, all the little bits and pieces along the way, just so good. And on repeat watches, yeah, there's so much to notice about it. And the villain, I mean, Beazle, not so much, but Hellcop, so iconic, like so iconic in his look and his sort of manner. I also found out that CJ Graham has played Jason Voorhees in one of the Friday the 13th movies. So he's got that, unstoppable killer character done very well. So
solid resume.
Yeah. So I would say this movie is a must watch. Like, it is B grade. Like, it's not great acting, but like, I think there's a lot going for it, and it's very funny.
Very super funny. Yeah. As long as you're not going in expecting like Martin Scorsese level stuff.
Oh no. No, definitely
you're
not.
gonna be good.
Yeah, definitely not. All right. Well, I guess I have to consult our patrons for the patrons vote. Hello, Hal.
What are you doing, Dan?
Can you give me the patrons vote, please?
Our patrons have decided to set the film free.
Oh, good.
Yeah, setting it free from our patrons as well, but not from everyone. So Eddie Coulter said, as much as I enjoy Highway to Hell, I can't really recommend it. The first and third acts are great, but the second act really drags the movie down. So I say disable the Hellcop's Google Maps. Coldcrash Pictures says, I can't say I loved my screening of the film, but it does have a very unique style that's worthy of study, and I couldn't bear to throw the last Kevin Peter Hall film ever released back into the oubliette. Let it escape the bowels of hell.
Nice.
And finally, Chazilla, who nominated this film, of course, said, Highway to Hell is such a product of its time, that late 80s to early 90s style, lots of music, baggy clothes, irony, puns, and Easter eggs. Is it sacrilege to say Patrick Bergin was a handsome, suave Satan? Was it just me, or was Royce a way bigger dick than Beazle? And then he goes on to say, I say take off the handcuffs, pick up Lita Ford and the Stillers, and let Highway to Hell out of the oubliette. Just don't stop between the two Joshua trees.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah. So we're going to set it free.
All right.
Goodbye.
See ya.
I'm telling you, it tastes very similar to chicken. Bye.
Dan, this was so fun, but I'm a Movie Oubliette fan, so you got to tell me, what are y'all covering for the next episode?
Yes, well, next time we are going to be doing, it's going to be our Christmas episode. So it is going to be set in that period. It's from 2016. It is a horror drama crime film. I Am Not a Serial Killer.
Ooh.
Yeah, so this came out in 2016. It's directed by Billy O'Brien, and it stars Max Records, Christopher Lloyd, Laura Fraser, and Carl Geary. I've never seen this film. This is a favorite of Conrad's, so I think he's going to know more about it. But we may have a special guest on that episode as well. Fingers crossed. Still not locked in, but we'll see. We'll see.
I'll keep them crossed for you.
Yeah. So it's been great having you as my Conrad stand-in, Isaac. You have been, you've done a stellar job, I have to say. How can our listeners find you and follow you on the interweb?
Well, you can always get at me at my Instagram or my Twitter. I refuse to call it the other one.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's calling it the other one.
Nobody's called it the other thing. Isaac Last Name, all one word. I'm also on YouTube as Isaac Last Name, not the one with male pregnancy porn, the one with movie reviews.
Yes.
If you've been listening to the podcast, you heard me say that a couple times. There's another guy. He has more subscribers than me. It's really unfortunate.
No. Yeah. Don't follow that guy.
Don't follow that guy. But yeah, it's always so lovely to talk to you and so lovely to be on this show. Thank you so much for letting me be here. Anytime.
Have you got anything coming up? Any projects on the go?
I have something. I'm not sure if I can talk about it, but it might involve one of the Oubliette hosts. So something coming up on the horizon. Keep your ear out.
Yes. And it's not me, so the other one.
Oh, jeez.
Yes, and if you want to follow Movie Oubliette, we are Movie Oubliette everywhere, and you can email us at movie.oubliette@gmail.com. You can also support us more by becoming a patron at Patreon. We have numerous tiers that give you access to extended segments of the show, cast your final verdict on the film, gain access to a monthly video minisode. Our last one was our favorite horror genres, and you can also be able to nominate films for us to cover, like today's film, brought to us by Chizilla. And for $10, you can become an executive producer, our Knights of the Keep, like Eddie Coulter, Gisela, Dr. Doggy, Isaac Sutton, and Cold Crash Pictures.
Love hearing my name.
Yeah. We've got merchandise on Redbubble and our YouTube channel as well. And give us a rating and review on whatever you're listening to. I think that's it. Okay. So, that's it for this episode of Movie Oubliette discussing Highway to Hell. We'll see you next time.
See you next... Well, I won't, but... but you shall be seen by a human.
Yes. Goodbye.
We review the films others tend to forget. Come with us and open up the movie Oubliette.
You can't phone hell, boy. You can drive there, but you can't phone hell.